Hi, and welcome to a brand new episode of Sipping Tea with Suzanne. I am your fabulous host, Positively Suzanne, and I'm so excited to be in the studio today with the one, the only, the Mr. Jetari Veal. How are
It's
you?
a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. I'm
Yes,
looking
ma'am.
forward to our chat.
Yes,
All right, cool. Well, first, I want to say thank you to our loyal viewers and subscribers. I know last week we had to reschedule, so we appreciate you. For those of you that have the ability to join us tonight at 5 p.m., we appreciate you. If not, just get caught up. You can go back on Facebook or you can go back on YouTube and watch the episode. So for the month of Black History, happy Black History Month, y'all. So I wanted to kick off with Mr. Jatari Veal himself. And I'm actually going to be ending the month with his lovely wife, Dr. Antia Veal. So we're getting the whole family. Maybe we'll throw the kids in there somewhere. We don't know. But I'm just always so excited to spotlight and highlight Black excellence during the month of February. And so I'm so excited about the lineup, and he's with me today. So again, thank you all for tuning in week after week. I appreciate the support. Shout out to my executive producer, Paul Anderson, for making the magic happen week after week. Couldn't do it without you. All right. So I am so excited. So the hour is about you, and you're like, oh God, what did I sign up
ma'am.
for? But Jatari, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about you, and we're going to talk a little bit about what you do. So you are the AVP
Yes, ma'am.
of Community Relations and Business Development for Workers Credit Union.
Yes,
You're also a financial coach.
yes,
All right. So, but we're going to go way, way back when you were a little
ma'am.
boy growing up. So I have to point out, so you're from the South.
I am. Yes,
You
ma'am.
are from the
Yes,
South.
ma'am.
So you're going to hear a lot of ma'am.
I apologize.
Yeah, he's not calling me old, y'all,
Yes,
because you know your girl is young.
that's right.
But it's so respectful. It's like every time it's ma'am and sir, and I just love it. I just love the manners. You know, you and your family are always so well dressed, and just
Thank you,
ma'am
ma'am.
and mister and all that. And I
Thank
absolutely truly love that. So, but growing up in the South as you
you.
did you always knew you wanted to go into finance?
I did not. I'll be
Okay.
honest with you. I like to preface this. My mother and my father were just all they know is to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I will refrain from cursing on your show, but they were some darn good workers,
Mm-hmm.
but never really moved with purpose.
Mm.
Right. So one of my first jobs back in Mississippi, I had the opportunity to work with a clothing store, and then I kind of learned the money aspect and the money perspective and just financial literacy from my boss back in Zigo Urban's Menswear is the name of the store. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Does that still exist today?
No, ma'am.
Oh,
No, ma'am.
okay. All
Yes,
right. Yeah. So many stores went away, but
yeah.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So that was one of your first, and then you just got that bug, or
Yes, ma'am. He gave me an opportunity to experience a lot. He taught me about inventory. He showed me, the price that he paid for something opposed to what he's actually charging. He showed me how to make money work for you.
mm-hmm,
And I think that's where the book came from. Him being so open and him being like a mentor to
mm-hmm.
me in a sense. It gave me that itch to go out and really be about money.
All right,
Yes, ma'am.
wonderful. So, what was the journey like for you? Because, for the little black boys watching, or mothers of little black boys that are watching, what was the journey like for you? Now, again, and no fault of our parents. They do what they knew,
Right. Right.
and to the best of their abilities, because nobody could stretch a dollar like them.
That's
But
right.
they worked hard, and that's it, and that's all they knew. Work hard,
Right.
pay your bills. Work hard, pay your
Yes,
bills.
ma'am.
And I think each generation has to be better than the last, right? So you learn from that and went a step above, and then your kids are, we're going to teach them and they're going to be better. And then
Yes,
each
ma'am.
generation gets better. But once you discover that there is something different, what was the next step for you? How do you decide to like, let me make a career of
Yeah.
this?
For me, I'm passionate about the impact that I have on people.
Mm,
I think one of the lacks, the lack of in our community was the resources and the education. And like you stated, I don't fault my mother and father for doing what
mm,
they know. They provided for us, and that gave me my foundation. But like you stated, once you're educated, you want to pass it forward. And again, so my passion is just about providing those resources to our community.
mm-hmm.
We talk a lot about generational wealth, but it starts with the education. So like you stated, just being able to put myself in a position to learn and educate the community and just uplift the community, I think is where I would say my focus would be.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
that's your focus. So how did you get to, so you're the AVP,
Mhm.
and I know you're like, but you're for that's a fancy title.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a fancy title.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're the AVP, but how do you get there though? How do you
Uh,
get from this young man who's passionate about it to being the AVP? What was the journey like? What was the trajectory like?
yes, ma'am. So I graduated from Mississippi Valley State University. It's a HBCU back in Mississippi.
Hey,
Jerry
yay!
Rice. Yes, that's right. Jerry Rice. Shout out to Jerry Rice. This is alma mater as well. Um, from there to obtaining my master's at GCU, Grand Canyon University. Like you stated, my journey. When you go to college, you kind of go. I've always been an individual. If I start something, I finish. So
Mm,
when I majored, my major in Mississippi Valley State was accounting.
mm,
So when I graduated, I started working at uh, the Grand Casino, which I worked in casino accounting. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I hated it, Mrs.
mm.
Graham. I really hated it. And then sitting behind the desk, punching 10 keys. I said, I feel like I have too much to give than to sit
Mhm.
behind a desk. So I segued from that to banking and financing. I started from the very bottom again with a bachelor's degree. I started in
Okay,
items
great.
process. I love it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I did. Well, yes, ma'am. No, I did. I started from items processing, which is simply like scanning checks and things and just making sure the checks are correct. Working my way up to a teller, working my way up to a relationship manager, then the
Mm,
universal relationship manager, then the supervisor, and then the manager. It's been a very long process. I'll be
mm,
honest with you, and just navigating this industry has been challenging because a lot of times,
mm.
not only male, let alone black male, working in these industries. So it's been challenging, but I've
Mhm.
always had a really good support system.
Okay.
Um, and I say that's what pushed me.
All right,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
wonderful. So I know like sometimes people see and like, oh, they're successful, not recognizing
Yeah.
like it's been a long
Oh,
journey.
yes,
It's
ma'am.
like it what takes 20 years to be an overnight success, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's like you work here and there, and then obviously, again, you're a black male in an industry you're not, there's not a lot of us in there,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So navigating that space, still showing up for you, and still, being about the work. So I'm sure that there are times when it certainly had its challenges.
Absolutely.
And you've mentioned that you had a good support system, so that's always very good because
Yes.
you met your wife
That's right.
very early.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Mississippi Valley State as well. I met my wife in Mississippi Valley. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, and you'll hear more from her. This is not our hour. I'm not going to tell you about her. So
Yes, ma'am.
you got to tune in the end of the month to find out about her. But so at Workers Credit Union, you are the AVP of
Mhm.
Community Relationships. So what is it that exactly that you
Yeah,
do, and how does the community? How does it help and benefit the community?
absolutely. I think when I originally came to Workers Credit Union, I came on as a AVP financial wellness coach,
Mm,
and we had an opportunity to gauge our members' financial situation and guide them on their financial journey. We were able to not just product up, right? We
mm-hmm,
want to put some purpose behind what we do. So if I'm talking to you about a savings and explaining the difference in simple interest and compound interest so you can see the numbers, you can actively see how your money works for you. I think coming in as a financial wellness coach caused me to organically connect with the members. And
mm,
so that was a segue into now I'm an AVP community and business developer. So my role now is to get out into the community, assess
mm-hmm,
the needs, and I provide the solutions. Um, so when I say if I go to a mass hire
mm-hmm.
in Lowell and I'm working with a group of individuals and we tailor the presentations to their needs and then we create these products and services for their needs, I think that gives me that opportunity to bridge that gap, the resources, education, and the understanding.
Okay. What are some of the biggest challenges that you see, working in? I mean, and I assume that in your role, you work in multiple communities
Yes,
because that's the thing. You're not representative of one community, you're representative of multiple community. So the communities that are the most challenged, or I should say, the most underrepresented, what are some of the biggest challenges you think that they face?
some of the biggest challenges I believe that they face is follow through.
Mm,
You have a lot of people that come in and promise things, and
mm,
then the times is now. I guess I won't stray off into a tangent. The times things that was promised is cut. People don't follow through with what they state. So I think the biggest challenge that I've noticed is just to follow through. If you say you're going to do something,
mm-hmm.
um, you should do it.
All
You
right,
should do it. Yes,
awesome.
ma'am.
Do you guys offer financial literacy classes
Yes,
through Workers Credit Union?
we did originally have not necessarily the financial wellness classes, but you would work one on one with a financial wellness coach to sit down and assess your financial needs and kind of create a financial template, help you set up a plan, and we kind of guide you through your journey. So that looks like if you state a year from now that you want to pursue a mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
my role is to set milestones. Let's assess your budget. Let's see where we can save. Let's understand your cash flow and make sure you're living within your means. But if you have an opportunity to save, let's put some money back to develop habits and good routine. If you're having credit issues, for your credit, let's assess your credit. Let's see how we can help you increase your credit score. Let's see if we can assist you with derogatory statements on your trades on your credit report. Anything that we assessed once we meet with our members, my role was to help get you in a better financial situation.
Okay, so I'm Joe Blow off the
Mhm.
street. I'm coming in. I can just walk into Workers Credit Union, say I'm interested in understanding about my finances, open an account, and I have all this access.
I'm gonna say, hey, Miss Suzanne, I saw you at the no, I'm teasing, but yes, ma'am. We do it a little different at Workers Credit Union.
Okay.
We build relationships.
Okay.
We are a credit union. We're member
Mm-hmm.
owned, member focused. So if you come into my branch, your family. If you're a member, you're family. So I
Mm.
have to treat my family right. So
All
any
right now.
event that I'm meeting with my members, I don't just, we have savings and checkings. We are a business.
Mm-hmm.
But again, let's make it organic. Let's tie some purpose to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, ma'am. If you walk into the branch and you express your needs, it's our role to provide those solutions.
Wow,
Yes, ma'am.
I love that. So what if I'm watching the show right now and I
Mhm.
said, I've been thinking about getting a mortgage. What are some of the first steps that you would encourage me? Apart from walking into Workers
Yes,
Credit
ma'am.
Union, it's like, listen, I'm yours, I'm your client, I'm a member,
Yeah.
I'm family. Let's do this.
Can I pull out my business card? I'll just do
Listen,
that. I'm just kidding.
shut out because we're
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yes, ma'am. No, I mean, once you come in, it's our role to connect with you, right?
Hmm.
Another hurdle is getting people to talk about their finances, right? That's a
Hmm.
very private conversation. You don't even know people are pursuing some things or have dreams to pursue mortgages until you show them that it's
Mm,
possible. So just coming in, being willing to have a conversation.
yeah.
It's only so many questions I can ask to identify the needs, but being open and telling,
Hmm.
allowing me to guide you in a sense.
Yeah.
Yes, man.
I know it's difficult because, like, so I'm from the island, and I know that it's like money is a very uncomfortable topic,
Yes.
because it's like my first initial thought, and I'm miles away from that. I'm like, why you all up in my business?
Yes,
Like,
ma'am.
that's
Yeah.
literally,
Yes, ma'am.
and as a mortgage loan officer,
Yeah.
like I noticed that, like sometimes I'm like, when I'm helping
Yeah.
my clients,
Yeah.
especially in my community, and then I'm like, and I was like, I truly, I'm not trying to get in your business.
That's right. That's
I've
right.
been there with you. Like that was my initial thought, but I
That's right.
said, I want to help you to make sure that you're
That's right.
making the right
That's
decisions.
right.
But it's tough because even my mom, I remember one year saying to her, like, how much money did you get back on your tax return? She's like, why you want to
I
know?
know, right? Yes, ma'am. You're gonna ask to borrow something, right? Yes, ma'am.
And to this day, I still don't know
Yes,
because
ma'am.
it's like it's just very uncomfortable. So I had to unlearn certain perceived notions about money, and I think once I got more comfortable talking about money, I really understood like the everyday decisions that I made, that how it impacted. Like I want 5 pair of shoes. I don't need.
It's you, the needs and wants. I love it. I love it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes, even to this day, when I think I'm financially savvy, like I still wrestle, like, do I need that shoe?
Well, I love those. So part of the
Thank you.
was that part of the budget?
So, what had happened was,
I love it. I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
so no, but funny story about this shoe. I this year I decided to take all my credit cards out of my wallet, and I'm like, I needed to.
Yes, ma'am.
So I went into Macy's for something and I left my wallet in the car and I'm like, I'm not buying anything. So I was talking to my husband Paul on the phone and I'm like walking by and I saw these shoes and I was like distracted. And I'm like, and he's like, Suzanne, are you looking at shoes? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he was like, Suzanne, are you looking at shoes? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, how much are the shoes? And I'm like, so they're on sale.
I
They were
understand. I
they were
understand. Yes,
part of
ma'am.
the budget,
That's all right. I
but
understand.
they were a really good
I
sale.
understand.
Like they were $23. I can't
Well, you can't beat that. Yes, ma'am.
anyway.
And they're purposeful. You wore them today. They are beautiful shoes, and we're here now. So I understand.
Yeah, anyways.
Yes, ma'am. I love it.
Like, see, and like, see, I got a compliment, so it's
That's right.
absolutely worth it.
That's
But
right.
what's funny is my husband like just knew because like I just lost the track of the conversation we were having, and I was like, oh.
She need those.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, how much are the shoes? I'm like, all right, yay.
And what you know, with proper preparation and planning,
Mm,
you do have to reward yourself.
you do.
Like it's hard to just
Yeah.
work towards goals. That's why we say create milestones. You
Hmm.
know, increments. You still have to be able to
Hmm.
enjoy life. You know, so
Absolutely.
but you always should have a plan.
No, absolutely. And I think so. And I think that you and I have had multiple conversations. I think one of the things I find folks are very challenged with, and for myself, I try to be very consistent with it, is the B word. It's having a budget.
That's right.
Like folks don't like to talk about it, but let me tell you, a budget is life
Oh my
changing.
gosh. Yes, ma'am. Very
So
much so.
yeah, and I remember you and I were doing a program and we were mentoring someone, and I know that you had shared some different tips and sheets on how
Right.
to go about. So if I've never made a budget,
Yeah.
how do I go about
Yeah.
preparing a budget?
I mean, it's something as simple as a basic rule that I would say is a 50-30-20 rule. And that's
Mm,
basically stating that, 50% of wants, 30% needs, and 20% is saving. Right. I'm sorry. 50% is needs, 30% wants, 20% is saving. Don't quote me on that. All right. Just understanding. I mean, I can throw budgets, I can throw all of these algorithms at you,
mm-hmm,
but the most important thing is being disciplined.
mm,
Right. So if you state, I want to save 20% of my income
mm-hmm,
and then put it back into savings, set up some boundaries, set up some systems that's going to allow you to just automatically transfer out of sight,
mm-hmm,
out of mind. Assessing your budget on a weekly basis, on a biweekly basis,
mm-hmm,
monthly basis, understanding and just making sure you're living within your means.
mm-hmm.
I think we all just kind of get ahead of ourselves. So,
Absolutely.
we get influenced by what we see other people do and what they have and our lack of, and we just forget to move at it's our race. We kind of move at our
Absolutely.
own pace. So just having a plan,
Hmm.
start somewhere, build those habits and those routines.
No,
That's it.
absolutely. And I think that's so important what you said. Like, it is our race. We got to move at our own pace. You definitely can't keep up with the Jones.
Right.
And you shouldn't want to. My daughter today, and she has her own job, and she's so proud. And she was like, she was like, oh, I went into the Louis Vuitton store for, not for me.
That's right.
Yeah, she's into jeans and sneakers and all that, but she was like, to buy the bag for you. And I saw the price and I had to walk out. And I said, I'm really glad that you didn't spend your money on that,
Wow.
because I wouldn't want my daughter spending $1,400, $1,500 on a purse for me that I'm going to use once a month
Yes,
or
ma'am.
something like that. So I'm so glad that at that age she actually
That's
had the
right.
mindset to say, I would love to give it to my mom, but I can't
That's
afford it.
awesome.
So then she was telling me, and I was like, I'm so glad you did it, because I genuinely don't want you to spend, because I won't spend my big money
Yes,
on.
ma'am.
I won't.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it lovely if you want to give me as a gift? Thank you.
That's right.
But it's not a necessity. It's not a need. And it's just like, I personally don't like thing that has the name all over it or what everybody has. It's beautiful. It's lovely. And that's your thing. But I think, sometimes we just try to show everybody that we want the appearance of thriving when
Right.
we're not
That is
actually
so important.
thriving.
Amen to that one.
And I'm like, I try to live to say, okay, like, I don't want to look like I'm having fun. I want to actually be having fun.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, although I do have probably 10 trips planned for the next
But
two
that's okay.
years,
It's memories. That's memories.
that's it. So
That's
I do
memories.
have those plans, but I have a goal working towards it and all that, like live your life and plan it out and plan a trip to Paris. And it might not happen, but it's nice planning it. But we have to, like you said, live at our own
Right.
pace.
Yes, ma'am.
And one of the most important thing I think is under when you create the budget,
Right.
I think it allows you to see your income and your outcome, or your input versus your output,
Absolutely.
however you put it. Because if you don't have the budget, and I always say this to someone when I'm advising them, if you don't know how much money you're putting in and you're just putting out money,
Right.
like, you won't know. And it could be something simple that's causing you to to not say fail, but just causing
Yeah.
issues, because you don't realize, okay, you're taking in $5,000
Yes, ma'am.
and you're putting out 5,500.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there something you can shift in there to shave off that 500? And it could be something simple, right? Like subscriptions that you no longer need.
That's right.
Magazine subscriptions, I just cut them all out because I don't have time to read them, and you read most of them online anyway.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think knowing your input
Absolutely.
and knowing your output, I think are two of the biggest factors that will help you with your budget. And sometimes folks just, that simple thing, they like, because they're like, well, if I look at my budget, I'm going to see how much I'm spending.
Right.
But you need
You,
to.
you should. You should. And I think you hit it on the head. Once you break it down into categories, the needs, the wants, and the savings, the only category that you can actually revise, and the only
Hmm.
category that you should revise and take away from is the wants, right? And
Absolutely.
that's your Dunkin' Donuts. You'll be surprised. That's your
Yeah.
Amazon packages. That's your shoot. No, I'm just playing. I'm teasing, but no, you're right. And if you're gonna adjust any
Mm.
category, allow it to be your wants. Allow it to be your
Wait, I mean, like, so I got one shoe in
wants.
January.
Yes, sir.
You know, treat
Yeah,
myself. Like
absolutely,
I'm gonna treat myself. Like I think for me to live my life to say I'm absolutely never gonna treat myself, I think it's
absolutely.
kind of like an act, you deny yourself and then you just gorge yourself.
Right,
So that's why I have a challenge sometimes with fasting because I'm like I starve all day because my body's not
right.
used to it.
Okay.
And then like, oh my God, I haven't eaten all day, like at 4 o'clock.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
it was something we would do in church.
Okay.
The month of January was always like consecration.
Okay.
And because, again, wasn't used to it, wasn't as good at it. So we would
Mhm.
like not eat until 4 o'clock and replace meals with prayer. But then at 4 o'clock, then I would gorge. And
Right.
then, the pastor was like, well, did you really do it? It's not worth it. So you have to do things in moderation.
That's a true statement.
So until I really truly understood it, then maybe I did tea or I did fruits or something like that.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
to replace it with prayer and things like that. But just as to go cold turkey, you know,
It's challenging. Yes, ma'am.
it
Moderation.
it
Moderation. Absolutely.
moderation, moderation,
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I
moderation.
love it.
So, I know that not to talk about your
No,
private life.
no
We're going to
worries.
talk about your private life. So you have some little one. Are they interested in finances? Are you having financial conversation with them, and they're like, Dad?
So when you mentioned your daughter, I was hoping she can call my son.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. If that's how he's gonna appear to be successful, but it is some work that needs to be done there, and I'll be honest with that. So just like I said, it's one thing to talk about it and preach it, but man, once you see it in the household, just have your daughter call my son. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
She'll display some amazing insight one minute, and the next minute she just blows all her money on
Yes,
Uber
ma'am.
Eats. So, like, it's like, girl,
Yes, ma'am.
and it's so funny. So you actually know my daughter,
Yes, ma'am.
and you went to her high school to give a talk.
Wow.
I think I told you that.
You
So
did. And
I
Abby Kelly.
Abby
Yes,
Kelly. Yeah.
ma'am.
So she's graduated, but we were at the mall. I don't remember when we were at the mall, and I was with my daughter, and I was like, "Oh, I just ran into somebody I knew," and she was like, "Oh, who?" And I was like, "Wow, you don't know her?" And she was like, "You know," and then I was like, "Oh,
Yes,
Jetari,"
ma'am.
and it's such an unusual name. She was like, "You know him?"
Yes, ma'am.
Don't.
Yeah.
She's like, "Yes, he was just at my
Yeah,
school
yes,
doing like a
ma'am.
financial
Oh,
literacy thing," and
yes,
I was
ma'am.
like, "Oh,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
are correct. That is."
Yes, ma'am. Uh, it's a blessing to be at an institution that allow you to go and do what you're passionate about.
Hmm.
Abby Kelly is a school that we go and we try to talk about
Hmm.
financial literacy, financial wellness, and again because it starts at our youth. So
Absolutely.
the minute the sooner that we can change their mindset,
Hmm.
um, they'll pay it forward, and I think
Hmm.
that's important. So you're right. I love Abby Kelly. They're amazing individuals, amazing school. So yes,
No,
ma'am.
it's a good school. She, graduated last
Yes,
year,
ma'am.
but
That's right.
she remembered the lesson and just remembered the name. And teenagers, they don't like anybody, they don't criticize anybody. But you did impress her,
Yes,
and she
ma'am.
did like
Thank
you.
you.
So I
Thank you.
mean,
So
listen, these kids make us work for every
I know, right? Yes, ma'am. Yes,
single thing. But
right.
I absolutely believe that it's so important that they start on it. Which more schools would do
Right.
financial literacy classes because these kids are leaving school and not knowing how to balance a checkbook.
Not knowing how to balance a checkbook, not knowing how to write a check. I mean, it's you're absolutely right. It's like the basic principles of what you need to be
Mm-hmm.
successful or financially astute. It's just not being taught in schools.
Mm,
They're so focused on standardized testing and
mm,
making sure that that they score this on the test instead of teaching my son, like you stated, how to the importance of finances.
mm-hmm.
So once we have an opportunity to go to schools and speak on it, we do.
No,
We do.
absolutely. And I
Yes,
think it's important. I mean, listen, they spent a lot of time at my high school
ma'am.
figuring out X equal Y,
All
right?
right. Yes, ma'am.
And I've never used it. Just an FYI, in all my years.
Yes, ma'am.
Like I had to teach myself
Mm.
financial literacy. Like after high school, that's something that was important to me. I graduated high school and I went to college and took a break and was doing all these things. But now all of a sudden I was making a lot of money. And back in the day, my rent was $300.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Tell me about it. Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
and I was making 34,000. I mean, and this was 20 something years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yeah.
34,000, $300 rent, and like light was included. Like, exact. Listen, it was paradise. I didn't know it at the time, but it was
Disposable income. You didn't know what to do with all the money.
like I felt like I had to just spend it, and like I felt like I had money extra. I don't know. It's like a thing. It's like after you pay your bills, I had money extra. So I just felt
Mm,
like I didn't know what I was doing with my money. I wasn't used to getting all this money. It's like, that's why people win the lottery
that's
and
right.
celebrities that are just get famous quickly. You don't know what to do with it
That's
because you
right.
were never taught. And like I felt like I blew it
Mm,
at the time. And I remember even finding out about 401k at the
mm,
time. Like I was like, oh, I'm not
yes,
giving nobody my money.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And so like
Yeah.
all these things. And then like in my 20s, I had to say, okay, like there's got to be something to this.
Right.
And that's when I really started like understanding. But I always knew how to balance a checkbook
Yeah.
because while I spent money freely, you couldn't rob me.
I heard that. Yes, ma'am. I love it.
There's that part. But I just wish that I had known,
Yeah.
certain things. And I think now, like so I try to tell my kids and, like understand. And I think they understand it to
Yes,
some
ma'am.
extent, but I try to give them the benefit of my wisdom.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, will they take it? We'll see. But,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
you know,
One thing that I realized with the youth nowadays, everything is so convenient for them.
yeah, I
They don't even have
know.
cards now. It's a digital card that's on your phone now.
Everything.
It's a mobile app. It's like so even the basics, like you're saying, balancing the checkbook,
Yeah,
someone does it for them now.
absolutely.
So them not being cognizant enough to even understand
Hmm.
how much cash you have coming in opposed to going out, I think it's a problem that we should probably address before it becomes before it gets out of hand because it's just convenience.
Absolutely. Saying no shade to the current generation
Right,
and the convenience
right.
because I mean I don't want them to suffer like we did,
That's right.
but I
That's right.
think along with all this convenience they should also have some foundation
Yes, ma'am.
that they could stand firm on because yes, you're right, they're hungry 3 in the morning, let's Uber eat and
I
get
know, right?
tacos. Like, first of all, in my household, once you had dinner, you're not going in your
Yes, ma'am.
mama's kitchen till the next morning.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but it's like they have their own money,
Yeah.
they have their own phones, so
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
kind of like they're tiny adults
Wow, so true.
with all this things. So it's just, so I do think that it
That's
would
so true.
behoove schools to really put financial literacy into their classes. So now, if you had to make a
Mhm.
pitch, because I know that Abby Kelly does that, if you had to make a pitch and appeal to the Worcester Public
Mhm.
Schools, how would you go about telling them, like, listen, let's get in the school with this financial literacy?
I think it's imperative for the future. Financial literacy is the foundation of the economy as a whole.
Hmm.
Just finances. So understanding that that's a life. Like you can't escape finances.
Hmm.
It's the most important thing. And I'm not trying to make everything about money, but understanding finances, understanding the importance of it, understanding how you can utilize it and how it can create opportunities for you.
Hmm.
I think it's pivotal. So we should, like you state, go back to the basics, build that foundation. We can still have the conveniency
Hmm.
piece, but let's put some understanding behind it.
Yeah.
So that would be my pitch in a sense. Yes,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I think absolutely more schools. I think even elementary school.
yes,
I
ma'am.
think because if we're teaching them compound math, which I don't get,
Yes, ma'am.
we can absolutely teach them to balance a checkbook and ensure
Absolutely.
that they know that. So I'm just going to ask you a couple of
Yeah.
things
Yes, ma'am.
because as you know, well, I've kind of moved away from the coaching of small businesses,
Mhm.
but a couple of challenges that arise, and I've had conversation is as I mentioned, even myself when I just started 401k.
Mhm.
Why is it important?
401k is for retirement. It's for
Mm-hmm.
your future.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of misconception is like you stated, giving money away.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to contribute to your 401k and depending on your employer, they match how much you contribute to that. It's free money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a percentage that they'll match up to. Understanding that you have to plan for your future. I think this goes back to having a plan. You
Mm.
know, you do the compounding interest 6% for 12 months over 10 years, opposed to just simple interest. And compound interest is interest earning money on top of interest.
Mm-hmm.
Simple interest is that if I give you 5 cents this month, I'm gonna give you 5 cents next month.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding the doing the numbers and understanding where you could be potentially in 10 to 15 years from compound interest and contributing more to your 401k,
Mm-hmm.
opposed to just doing the basic 3%.
Mm-hmm.
You're leaving a lot of money on the table,
Yeah.
especially if you have an organization that's willing to match your funds. So it's so many opportunities. And I know you're a business owner. Sometime with your retirement funds and even with your mortgages, I know I digress a little bit. You can take some of these funds
Started.
and invest
Mm-hmm.
in some of your goals.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to use some of these funds to fund your
Mm-hmm.
business ventures, if you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to use some of these funds and put a down payment on a mortgage, there's so many options and possibilities that you can use your
Mm-hmm.
mortgages and your 401ks that a lot of individuals just don't know.
No,
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely. Like I
Yeah.
said, in my 20s, I was what, 22 or so. Like I had no
Yes,
idea
ma'am.
until, a supervisor of mine said, like, that's free money.
Yeah.
So I was like, what do you mean free
Yes,
money?
ma'am.
I was like, I'm putting money in. And because again, you're at 20,
Right, right. Yes, ma'am.
62 seems
Yes, ma'am.
miles away,
Yes, ma'am.
right? That's so she was like, well, because at the time the company was matching, I think up to
Yeah,
6%.
yes,
I'm
ma'am.
not kidding.
Whew.
And it was a lot. And she was like, so if you put 100,
Right.
and that 6%, they put 100. I was like, what?
Yes, ma'am.
And so they did that. And then this company, I truly admired what they did. They also, like, every year you can go up a percent,
Right.
but it's like I signed that thing.
Right.
And so I don't even notice.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
like, at the end of
Yes,
the year,
ma'am.
because you get an increase every
That's right.
year, right?
That's
And
right.
then at the every year, it just started going up. And
That's
then
right.
I think at one point I was putting in like 12%. But
Wow.
I didn't notice because,
Right.
again, I was getting increase and things like that. It came out pre tax
That's right.
and all of that. And I was saving. And, my 401k has actually come in handy a few times for me personally because I've had some tragedy, medical situation or something like that. And I was able to borrow money from my 401k. But
Yes,
the
ma'am.
beauty of borrowing money from your 401k when you're still employed by the current employee, again, they take that money right out of your paycheck.
Absolutely.
So you're borrowing from yourself and you're paying it back, and there was like no interest or anything. Now, if you leave the job, that's a whole other thing.
That's
You
right.
got 60 days to pay it
Yes,
back.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And it's not something, and they ask you questions, like they give you a
That's right.
financial advisor to ask you questions, like just to make sure you're not just borrowing money to just go
Right.
to Bali or
That's right.
something like that. But I just fell in love, and that's one of the things I kept encouraging, my clients. I was like, listen, they're like, I don't have 401k, and I'm like, you really should.
You should.
And I remember advising someone, they had a really beat up car and it would break down every time it snowed. I'm like, girl, you live in New England. Like,
Yeah.
get a car. And she was like, I had no money. So, she did borrow from her for 1K and buy it and then paid it off. And she was like, what is this magic?
You're right. Yes, ma'am.
And I said, I'm passing it on because
I
somebody did
love it.
that to
I
me.
love it.
And that's what I encourage people is like, listen, get into 401k.
Yes, ma'am.
And then when I left my role, then I rolled it over to an IRA, and
Okay.
then you can I think up to 5,500 a year. Is that what you can
It,
put
it
in?
go. It fluctuates.
It
Yes,
fluctuates,
ma'am. So
yeah.
yes,
So,
ma'am. Yes.
and I'm not a guru like him.
No, 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 no
So,
good.
right,
Yes, ma'am. But you're right. It's 55. Sometimes it depends on that.
yeah,
It fluctuates. Yes, ma'am.
yeah. So, and that's just like based on my personal experience. I try to say to folks, even when times are hard,
Right. Right.
even when you're not having as much income as you would like,
Right.
I still think that having a very firm foundation about your
Absolutely.
finances is important because you know what to eliminate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to add to that, that goes back to your budget, establishing an emergency fund.
Yeah.
Life happens. Life
Oh,
happens.
does it?
Yes, ma'am. So setting up something to whereas you have 6 months of salary in your
Mm-hmm.
event because the goal is not necessarily to tap into your 401k
Mm-hmm.
because you do the more that you have, the more interest that it's earning.
Absolutely.
But just having a plan,
Mm-hmm.
sticking to it, being disciplined, and once you need something, having an
Mm-hmm.
emergency fund set up in place to pull from it if it's necessary.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. So, what are some of the options that are available at Workers Credit
Mhm.
Union to, like not just
Yeah.
regular savings, but
Yes, ma'am.
interest earning savings?
Yeah, we have certificate of deposits. We have vacation funds. We have club funds. We have we have so many like different like statement savings
Yeah.
that I like to open up several and entitle it for specific purposes like car maintenance
Mm.
or house maintenance or so we can open up a savings and just title it to whatever you desire, and
Mhm.
just have funds automatically go to that account. Like you said, if you're paid on a biweekly basis, I know
Mhm.
you get paid on Friday. I'm gonna go ahead and have $50 come from this,
Mhm.
25 come from this, and go to these accounts. So out of sight, out of mind. So yes,
No, absolutely. I
man.
think it's the best way because I think if you say like, okay, I'm gonna take the money and
Yep.
put it in, somebody comes for
Right.
that money. Somebody,
Yes, ma'am.
something comes for
Yes,
that
ma'am.
money. Like you're like, okay, I'm gonna put $50 in the savings, but then here all of a sudden, here comes the cable bill you forgot to
I'm
pay.
telling.
Here comes this. Oh, here comes that new shoes.
Yes,
So it's like
yes, ma'am.
if it
We can have a shoe fund as well, and we can have
oh
a
I
savings
will.
dedicated
Oh,
to
so you
shoes.
got
Yes,
oh you
ma'am.
got to go
Yes, ma'am.
go have a soup on there.
That's
But you're right. I think out of sight of mind, like when it's just automatic, like you
right.
don't think about it because it doesn't exist.
That's right.
Like because once you have it in your hand, like you feel like you should touch it. But if
That's
it's
so
already
true.
going in there before,
Right.
all right. So another thing I would wanted to ask you about is just really understanding your credit
Mhm.
and why it's important to have good credit, or if you don't have good credit, how do
Mhm.
you start
Yeah.
out
Well,
building?
yes, ma'am. So cash is king and credit is power. I know
Mm,
we say that a lot, but
mm,
it's the truth. You know, your
yeah.
credit profile, understanding the importance of your credit score and how that is indicative of your interest that you'll be charged.
Mm-hmm.
It's indicative of the opportunities. You know, having an 800 credit score will provide you with access that, you know, truthfully a 550 credit score wouldn't. You know, it's indicative of who you are as a person, your character, right? So if your credit score is 800, that's an indication that you pay your bills on time, that you're trustworthy,
Mm-hmm.
that I am more likely to invest in you because you are a person of your word,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that on hindsight, if it's a 550, had a few hiccups, and we all and life happens.
It
Life
does.
happens. So by no means am I judging anyone. We all go through
Mm,
life happens. So just we know if it's 550, we might have some things that we need to address.
mm-hmm.
As long as we're making progress in addressing those trades, I think that's what's important. But you know, it's just having a better credit score provides you with access that honestly that lower credit scores won't.
No,
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely. Encourage. I know that is it I can't remember the name of it. Is it free credit card,
Mhm. Yes,
freecredithistory.com? I
ma'am.
think so. They provide you with one free
Yeah,
copy
yes, ma'am.
a year. Actually, I know that during COVID they changed it. Did they change it back to one?
So annualcreditreport.com,
Yes,
they
thank
will,
you.
yes, my pleasure. It will provide you with, you can actually pull all three credit
Mm-hmm.
reports, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. You won't necessarily have a score, but you
Mm-hmm.
can access your credit report and you can
Mm-hmm.
assess everything that's on your credit report. Which you don't necessarily need a score,
Mm-hmm.
depending on, you know, what's your goal. But at least you can see what's on your credit report and
Mm-hmm.
address any trades or anything that's not accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
No, absolutely. I think yes, it's so important. I did that, and like I saw this credit card on my account,
Mhm.
which I didn't even remember about. So now it was a credit card that at the time when I worked for this company, I worked for this company in 2012. They'd opened this credit card in my name.
Wow.
Well, yeah, because they did at the time, but they paid the bill. Like
Oh,
it
okay.
was in, yeah.
Okay.
So, but when I left the company, I thought they closed it, but they didn't. So it wasn't being used. It was still,
Okay.
I mean, at least it showed for length of history.
Yes, ma'am.
But, I didn't honestly didn't remember. So I just looked at it and it was like, it was good because it's like each month. So I was a district manager and
Okay.
I travel a lot. So each month, I would just submit
That's
the
awesome.
thing and they paid it, which was fantastic. But when you leave the company, they're
Mm.
supposed to close the credit card.
Right.
And, I cut it up, destroyed it, whatever. But the card was still open in my name.
Mm.
Several years later, I looked like 10 years later, the card was still there. It
Mm.
showed like it wasn't used. It was just not used
Okay.
over the years. But while it helped to show like, okay, length of credit
Right.
history, which is a good thing, I was a little like flabbergasted. I was like, these folks are out here with card in my name.
Right. I did not sign up for that.
I
Yes,
did
ma'am.
not like this should have been gone a long time ago. But if I hadn't looked at that, I wouldn't have seen it because I was just
So
like,
true.
what is this? And I searched, and finally I called the 1-800 number and they told me what the card. I'm like, American Express, like,
Wow.
and then that's what I get. So I think for me personally, that's just one of the reasons why I look at it because things are missed.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
it wasn't malicious. I know it wasn't malicious by the company because, like I said, there was zero charges since I left. I think somebody just
Mm.
in the department just forgot to close it.
Yes, ma'am.
And there I had this card on my thing. So I think it's
Mm.
important for us to take a look at that and just
Absolutely.
to see the things
Absolutely.
that are on there.
Outside of that fraud, It's
Yeah.
this fraud is a really big thing now.
Yeah.
You every time you turn on the news now, it's a
Oh.
data breach here, something there. So just accessing your credit report so you can make sure that, like you stated, everything is accurate. Making sure that someone did not open something without you having knowledge about it. So it's free. Like you
Mm.
stated, you can pull all three credit bureaus every 6 months. So I like to pull one, and then maybe a couple months later pull another one, and then another
Mhm.
quarter pull another one, just so I don't necessarily get charged for it, but I
Mhm.
can make sure that everything that's reported is accurate.
No,
Yes,
absolutely.
ma'am.
I think it's important. And for those that have had a bruised credit, how do you go about to like rebuild? If you're at that
Yeah,
550, you're trying to get to that
yeah.
800, what are some of the tricks and tips they can use to go back
Yes,
to?
ma'am. Quite a few different ways. First, we need to figure out what's derogatory. Why are we at the 550? Is it Do we need to go back and pay some collections just so we can show paid as agreed or paid as settled or show a settlement? Maybe you just have a thin file, which is having less than three trades. Maybe I can open up a safe and secure product for you that's using your funds to borrow from yourself to pay yourself back. And in turns that would help increase your credit score. You're borrowing from yourself, so it's one of those. It's a mindset thing where it's okay. $500 credit card. It's my 500. I'm going to use it on gas and pay it on a monthly basis. And once you build up a good repayment history at that, you can always go to an unsecured credit card. But I think the most important thing is understanding why are we at um, a lower
Mhm.
credit score
Mhm.
and putting a plan together, a financial plan to increase to increase your credit score. So that's
Okay. All right. Now, what if I want to get a mortgage?
yeah.
What are some of the steps that you encourage me to take?
Okay, it's quite a few steps if you want
Yeah.
to. No, most important thing is educate yourself.
Mm.
There's so many different programs. We all know that uh, down payment is one thing. We all know that the higher your credit score, the lower your interest rate will be on your mortgage. Think about that: a 30-year fixed product with a 9% interest rate compared to a 5% interest rate.
Mm.
You ask what's the importance of a credit score? It can be something as simple as that. You ask what's important about a credit score? It will dictate what your down payment would be on a
Mhm.
mortgage. It's so many things. So educate yourself. Get in front of a representative. I do
Mhm.
work at Workers Credit Union. It'd be my pleasure to assist. But any financial institution that you go to, get in front of a rep. Be uh, be transparent.
Mhm.
Let them connect you with the MLO. Let them
Mhm.
provide you with the different programs.
Mhm.
I would say one thing is just again, don't be scared to talk about your financial situation.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a journey. It's a journey, but go to a financial rep,
Mhm.
allow them to assess your needs and put you on a plan to pursue that mortgage. Yes,
No,
ma'am.
absolutely. Listen, I get it. I know from the community, from my community, we just don't talk about money.
Yeah,
And I think that it's important for us to talk about money because I think, there's a lot of shame associated with money.
man,
And, I think like when you refuse to talk about it, like it gives it power.
man,
So it's kind of like, I will tell you that loan officers are not looking to judge you.
so true.
Their goal is to help you, and especially my experiences and I've had with credit
Yes,
union,
ma'am.
the goal is to help. So like every question, and it's just like, don't be embarrassed to share
That's right.
information. There's nothing worse than helping somebody with something, and you miss something, and then a car payment
That's
pops
right.
up and you're like, what?
That's right.
Like, and then you have to go back and fix that, and that could create.
Yes, ma'am.
So just be honest on the onset, and then I think this way you'd be best equipped to handle,
Absolutely.
to say, all right,
Absolutely.
so we have this is what we got to do.
That's right.
Maybe we go 2 months versus 1 month
That's right.
before we make that initial offer or something like
That's so
that.
true.
But
That's so true.
full transparency is important. Like, your loan officer is working for you, and they genuinely truly want to see you win.
And if you ever feel like they are not, then you are not subjected to staying with those individuals. I'll tell you this, just a little hint: when you do pursue a mortgage, don't open any additional or any new lines of credit. Try to cut back on your revolving debt
Mm.
because all of this is factored into the equation. Your debt to income ratio is factored into the equation. But I will digress and go back and say that if you are ever in a situation and you don't feel like someone is giving you
Mm.
their 100% effort, then you're not again
Mm.
subjected to stay with them. So
Yeah,
yes, ma'am.
absolutely. Listen, if it's a first date and it's not working out, it's
That's
okay.
right.
Stay by.
yes,
It's fine.
yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, ma'am.
See, I'm laughing.
I'm sorry.
Breakfast. But you're right. Like, just leave. It's
That's
okay
right.
to just
It's
walk
okay.
away. Because I mean,
Yeah,
again, it's like buying a home is one of the biggest financial
absolutely.
decision that you're going to make. So you should feel
You
comfortable.
should feel comfortable.
You should feel like this person really wants this for me and
Absolutely.
wants to see me win. So, like you said, if they're not meeting your needs,
They're
it's
not.
okay to walk away.
They're not answering your questions. If you feel slighted in any way, shape, or form, I'm all about integrity. So if you
Mm,
feel slighted in any way, shape, or form, and this is to all financial institutions, then you go where you need to. And I just want individuals to feel comfortable and just feel at home when they go through this process and
mm.
like they have a support system. So
All right,
yes.
awesome, wonderful. So I know that you work out of multiple offices,
Mhm.
but you work out of the Worcester location, also. Is there any upcoming events or financial literacy
Yeah.
events you have planned that the community it's open to the community that's
Oh,
coming up?
yes, ma'am. Quite a few branches now. My the most recent financial panel that we have, it actually be in Lowell. It's with the Latinx community in
Mm-hmm.
Lowell. They're doing a access to capital panel for the
Mm.
Latino community in Lowell. Here in Worcester, we are like to be a little creative. I met an amazing individual at WPI, Mrs. Deborah. Miss Deborah Jackson.
She's
Oh
fantastic.
my Miss, and I'm trying my hardest. And Miss Deborah, if you, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but we're trying to do some things and open up the doors at the Worcester location. We do have some presentation, MLO,
Yeah.
first time home buyer
Mm.
presentations at the Worcester location. We try to do lunch and learns at the
Mm-hmm.
location. So, but I'll be happy to share dates.
Mm-hmm.
Any suggestions.
Yeah.
We're just about doing what's necessary for the community.
No,
And yes,
absolutely.
ma'am.
But I gotta ask, did you know Miss Deborah Jackson could sing?
I've heard. I
Okay.
haven't heard.
Oh,
I'm looking forward.
yes, quite an impressive individual, like lovely.
Yes,
So yeah,
ma'am.
you're good. You're in good hands
Yes, ma'am.
with Miss Deborah. Yeah, the girl can sing.
And now I'm anticipating. I was at the office and one of her colleagues stated that she sung at the Red Sox
Did
game.
she?
Yes, ma'am. And he stated it. And I might be. I'm apologizing if
It is.
well, she still be singing at the Red Sox, not the Red Sox, the Red Sox, right? I'm not the best baseball person here.
That's okay.
So
What's
the
the
Red,
Red Sox, or
what's
is
the
it the
Red
Red
Sox?
Sox in Fenway?
It's the Red. So she will be singing for the Red Sox in Fenway. So that's what I heard now. So don't you hold me to that. And Miss again,
Listen,
Miss Jackson, I apologize if I'm telling you business, but so I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
fantastic.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no, homegirl, she could sing, and she's a proud Delta. So,
Oh yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. KSI as well. So I
mhm.
always have to acknowledge
Mm.
amazing individuals when I get an opportunity. So
That's awesome.
yes,
Well,
ma'am.
I mean, certainly if I do, that I do work with a couple different
Yes, ma'am.
organizations. So and you have had great relationship with them and I've seen you doing things with them, but if any of the upcoming organizations that I'm working with that they're looking
Please,
to do anything in the community and spreading awareness, lunch and learn and things like that, I will certainly tap you in
please, please.
because I think that is important.
Yes, ma'am.
We've got to show up for these things. And sometimes, we see these things and we're like, it's not for me, it's for you. If it says finances, it's for you. If
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
talking about investing, it's for you. Because even if you're not ready now, one day you will be. And,
Yes, ma'am.
you're like, yeah, I can invest. I mean, I wish I had invested in Apple, but that's neither here nor
You're
there,
right. Yes,
right?
ma'am. We both. Yes,
We
ma'am.
didn't know.
We
We
didn't know.
didn't know.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
didn't know. But no, absolutely. I think anything that helps us understand our finances
Yes,
is
ma'am.
very, very important. So
Yes, ma'am.
we've been talking about finance a
Mhm.
lot, and I know that's your job, and I know that you love it. And then I appreciate that. But how do they connect with you or Workers Credit Union?
Oh, by all means, you can always email me at jveal@wcu.com. My you can always contact me via cell phone. Is it okay if I do that? Okay.
That's I was like, okay with you.
Yes, ma'am. 228-669-2767. And I mean, anytime that you go into a branch, you can state that you would like to connect with Jetari Veal. I'll be happy to connect with you. So I'm here. Or you can always contact Miss Suzanne, and she can connect us.
No,
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely. Please. I mean, you can absolutely mention him. He does oversee a few different locations, so you can reach out to him there. He shared his phone number. You can connect with me. If you're in an institution that you're looking, or you're a school, Worcester Public School, wherever you work, and you're like, you're looking to teach folks about financial literacy, it's a great resource to have. They show up. They come with stress balls and pens and
That's right. Yes, sir. Right. we keep a lot of stress balls on.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely. But please, I want to make sure that, I think the next few years is going to be interesting. I know there's a lot of memes about eggs and all of that, but the truth is there's a lot of things that's going to be expensive. And if our income doesn't increase, which it doesn't seem to be, and expenses are going to increase. There's a lot of folks that are going to be in very large financial holes.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think it's important to really truly understand your finances and figure out where you can shave and things. And I mentioned this earlier, and I know that you and I talked about it. As I mentioned, we did a thing, and it's just like subscription. I know I mentioned it, but like when you do your credit score, um, or whatever you're doing your budget, things that you don't need or you don't use or you use once in a while, and that gym membership.
Of course, ma'am.
Let me say this: we all want to go to the gym, but if you have the membership and you haven't gone for a while, let it go, baby. Just let it go.
Let it go.
Just let it go. It's okay.
That's right.
We won't think less of you,
That's right.
but you don't need to be paying protection.
Yes, ma'am.
It's like you're going to the mall, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you're paying
Yeah,
20, $30 a month.
that's so true.
You're not getting anything out of that
That's so
relationship.
true. That's so true.
So just let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go. All right. So
That's it.
you work in finance and, as mentioned, married, kids, and all that. What do you do to unwind personal?
Ah, I'm honestly, what I do to unwind, I go to a lot of my son's sporting events.
Mm.
I wouldn't know if that was necessarily me unwinding because I think I go just as hard.
So,
So I would say just my son, my daughter's events. I love just being a spectator at their events,
mm,
just being present.
mm.
Um, and that's how I would say. And I know that's probably boring in a sense,
It's
but
and
but
I'm
yes,
so
well,
watching them
I
because, like, I got really
I'm so
passionate.
proud of them.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
one of those things that you could not have told me 14 years ago, and my son is 14 and my daughter's 8. She'll be 8 next month. I didn't foresee this.
Yeah.
So when I'm out and I'm having these moments, epiphany in a sense, and it's like,
Yeah.
man, that's my son.
Yeah.
It's like he's doing his thing. My
Yeah.
daughter, she's doing her thing, and I can see the effort, and I don't know, that just it brings me
Yeah.
serenity. So yes, ma'am.
It's a feeling. Sometimes I just find myself staring at my daughter and she's like, Mom,
I know.
you're being weird. And I'm like,
Oh, God, This is not the same baby boy that used to sit on my knee, and now he's my height, and
yeah,
we can't stand him, but we
yeah.
love him.
Oh, of course.
Love him.
Absolutely. They know too much. They
I
know
know.
everything. Wait,
Yes,
wait till
ma'am.
they're 18, Lord. So,
I don't know. Yes, ma'am.
they
Yes,
know everything.
yes,
But,
ma'am.
I think it's like you say, it's so important for them to get involved and do everything. And, you mentioned your kids play sport and
Yes, ma'am.
you're into financing, your wife's into STEM.
Yeah.
So these kids can't escape.
Oh my gosh. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I think and that might be a problem in the household because the expectations. Um, we keep them so busy.
Mm-hmm.
From schools,
Mm.
extracurricular activities, the
Mm-hmm.
piano lessons,
Mm-hmm.
swimming, golf.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you name it. We try to keep them so active that they don't have time to
Mm.
do anything that
Mm.
won't produce success in some sense. So
No, I
yes,
think
ma'am.
it's important. And I think, we can't overlook the fact is that you're raising a black man.
Yes, ma'am.
This world is not kind to black men.
Yes, ma'am.
And, I think that we have to educate them
Yes, ma'am.
about the ways of the world, but also let them see
So true.
what success looks like
Yes, ma'am.
and let them see joy and have these family moments. So, I mean, you have a huge responsibility,
Yes, ma'am.
like even more so than just regular parents, because it's like, again, the world's not kind to them.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's like you got to be healthy. You got to have the conversation about the cops. You got to have the conversation about what's happening right now. You got to have the conversation that you'll be judged by the color of your skin, not by the content of your character, by some, and still let them know that it's okay to have a moment, but then they're going to have to release it
Gotta release.
because they can't survive if they don't.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think I think it's important, but I think sometimes it's tough,
Yes,
and my heart breaks that they don't have the luxury sometimes to just.
that's true. Relax, huh?
But
Yes, ma'am.
as I tell folks, I wouldn't trade being a black woman for anything in the world.
Right. Yes, ma'am. It's a beautiful thing. Yes, ma'am, and I'm with you. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world as well. And you're right. Just making sure that we have our kids just prepared. Just
Mm.
prepared. Any way that you can create an advantage for yourself because you do have to work twice as hard. It's the way of the world.
It's the way of the
So
world. You've done it,
get right.
you've
Yes,
done
ma'am.
it, and nothing. And regardless of what's being said about DEI, we know nothing's handed to us.
Yes, ma'am.
You're right. You do have to work twice as hard, and somebody's getting 80, you need 99.
99.
Nothing less.
We can't. Nothing less.
Nothing less.
Mm.
So that's why it's so important that you guys create that joy for them,
Yes, ma'am.
at home, that they get to see successful marriages, successful relationships, and just you, like you said, you're at the game and you're just looking at them and you're just so proud.
Yes, ma'am.
They need that. They need to see somebody proud of them. So, shout out to you and Dr. Veal for, what y'all are doing. But I know that we are running out of time. So I
Yes,
want
ma'am.
to talk vacations because I always
Mhm.
get to talk vacations,
Yes, ma'am.
sometimes. So what's the last vacations you guys
Wow, the
to?
last vacation we went, if I'm not mistaken, it was London.
Was that London?
It was London. Yeah, it was London. We went to London. That was the last vac. I'm sorry. No, she's going to get Canada. It was Canada. At my time runs. It was Canada. We went to Toronto. Um, it was nice. It was nice.
Yeah.
But maybe I just remember London more.
That's
Maybe
okay.
that's just
London was nice. London was nice.
yes,
I
ma'am.
remember when I ran into you in the mall, you guys were shopping for London.
Yes, ma'am.
And, I was like, okay, you guys are going to go drink some tea.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I tried some tea, and they had me try black blood, some crab. I don't. It's black blood bean something. I don't know.
As long as it wasn't blood, I think you're
Okay,
good.
yeah, no, it was. I would say I love American food.
I was
No,
just going to say, London's not really known for its food.
okay.
I'm good.
Well, so you didn't give me that information prior to going. Okay, so yes, ma'am. I thank you for explaining it now.
Yeah, no, for food, like
Yes,
at all.
it's very clean. It just
Yeah.
nah, man. It was a beautiful experience.
Okay,
Yes,
good. Yeah, no, it's very nice. We travel with the kids a lot, and they
mhm.
absolutely enjoy that. I try to tell my daughter, I'm like, we're gonna travel without you now. She's like, no, you're not.
Yes, ma'am.
I was like, you're. She's like, I'm coming.
That's right.
She's like, if I find out, I'm gonna book the flight. I'm gonna be there. And then, what was your experience in Toronto? Because we've been there twice. So
It was clean. Honestly, where we stayed, it was okay.
clean. Really?
It rained.
They fell off.
Where we stayed, like I said, it rained a lot.
Did it?
Um, I just it was my first time
Yeah.
going to Canada, so I
Yeah.
enjoyed the experience. Didn't get to do much because the weather was
The
just
weather,
bad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They
That's
can't like I can't really. I mean, the kids want to jump in the puddles, but when
right.
it rains, I'm like, don't touch my hair.
Yes, ma'am.
Like,
But the transit was amazing. That was
okay,
my first time actually going on a train.
yeah.
And just we traveled to where did we go? Was it Niagara Falls? Did we go to Niagara Falls? I believe we traveled to Niagara Falls.
Hmm.
And that was the highlight of my
Yeah,
time there. But other than that,
it was raining.
it was raining.
It's very hard to go. I
Yeah.
think the only place that I've gone that it rained that wasn't too bad was Aruba, because I mean it's Aruba.
Wow, you've been to Aruba.
It's
You're just throwing it in my face. I went to Mississippi, Florida, Ohio, Massachusetts, and she want to throw out Aruba. Yeah,
no,
thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
it was lovely. Y'all could go. Y'all
Yes,
should
ma'am.
go. It's the beach. The reason why I go to these all-inclusive vacations, and with the
Yes, ma'am.
kids, because it's like the kids are picky. And so when you go on vacation with them, they want this. And I don't know if people
Right.
realize this. Food is the most expensive thing when
Yes,
you
it
go on
is.
vacation, especially for a family of four.
Yes, ma'am.
Like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then snacks. And then they're like, they want burger, and you buy them a burger. And they're like, oh, I wanted pizza. And I'm like, you're eating that burger.
That's right.
Like, that's it. So
Matter of fact, we're gonna split this burger.
thank you. Like exactly because this burger is $30. So we discovered all inclusive vacations and we never looked back because I was like, I don't care what y'all eat. Just
That's a
eat.
good idea.
Like that.
That's a
So
good
that's what we started to do. And I found out that honestly, it was cheaper to
idea. Okay.
vacation out of the country than in the country because we would say we would
Mm.
pack up the car and drive to like North Carolina. And then by the time you pay for the hotel and then the gas and then the meals per day, that was killing us. Like
Yeah.
we were over $300 a day for
Yes,
meals
ma'am.
just for four people.
Yes, ma'am.
So then I looked at and I was like, okay, all inclusives,
Ooh,
like $1,200 per person. It was included the flight, round trip, 7 days, I think 8 nights, 7 days, or something like
that's
that.
nice.
And
That's
yeah,
nice.
and
That's nice.
all the food you can eat, so fruits and like so that's how I
Yes,
started with
ma'am.
the all
I
inclusive.
can rationalize that.
Yeah,
I
because
can.
I did.
Yes, ma'am.
I did because I'm like, even if it comes out to $200 less, I was
That
like,
makes sense.
it's worth it.
That makes sense.
And the kids get to experiment and try different
That's
things. They're
right.
eating
That's right.
lobster. We will not buy lobster when we go on vacation.
That's a good way to look. I'm from Mississippi, so
Yeah,
I would say the only reason that I travel is because of my wife.
yeah,
I'm a homebody.
yeah.
She had to pull
No,
me out of Mississippi, and I
no.
haven't went back since. So
Yeah,
yes, ma'am.
no, no, we got you got to travel like, but
Yes,
I
ma'am.
mean, we did a lot of beach things, but that's it for us for the family. I'm like, it was more economical to
Yes, ma'am.
do all inclusive. Plus, we work hard, so I just wanted to
Absolutely.
escape and just enjoy and have
And
fun.
just enjoy. That's a good way to look at it.
That's
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
So,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
it's like for me though, being away with my family that time, like we had like we're nothing else.
Oh, right.
It was just us in
Just
our
us.
bubble. Like we met people and all of that, like, but there was no distracting. There
Yes,
was no
ma'am.
family. There was no one showing up. There was no news. There was no American news. That it's on whatever station we're in. If you're in Mexico, it's Mexican news. We don't know Spanish, so it's like whatever
Yes,
is
ma'am.
happening,
Yes, ma'am.
it's just us in our bubble, just having family time, just talking. And so for me, I really try to do at least one a year.
Yes,
We just go away, and then I don't have to cook.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I don't know how Mr. Paul feels about that, but yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
like yeah, I don't have to cook. Like so, he gets to try all these
Okay.
different things. He could have steak.
That's
He
right.
could have
Yeah. Yeah.
lobster. He can have like just
Endless supply
whatever
too,
he
with
wants,
all inclusive. Yes, ma'am.
all
Yes,
inclusive.
ma'am.
So and it's like it's wasted on us, but it's the alcohol is free, but so that part's wasted on us. But
Yes, ma'am.
if you drink
Yes,
wine,
ma'am.
you can get to try many different wines and
Yes,
all
ma'am.
that. But yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
well, I think my producer is gonna get impatient with
I'm
me because
sorry.
I think, oh no, it's not you. He knows me. I always go over. But listen, thank you so
It's a
much.
pleasure.
I really truly appreciate you saying yes, you coming on and just really sharing your insight. I've wanted to have you on the show for a long time, so I'm so glad that it
Thank
worked
you.
out on both our schedule.
Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate you. Your wife and you are a blessing to me, and I'm so glad that I know you.
It's a pleasure. Like I tell you, you're a blessing. If you Miss Suzanne is an angel, and
Oh,
I stand by that. And her husband as well. I am so thankful. Like I said, I moved here 4 years ago, and just meeting genuine individuals like yourself is it lets you have faith in humanity. I'll tell you that.
uh,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
My pleasure.
Ditto.
Yes, ma'am.
Ditto. Well, thank you so much. Well, thank you all for tuning in week after week. We appreciate you. I am Positively Suzanne. Happy Black History Month. And from Suzanne and
Jetari Veal.
have a fabulous day.
Have a fabulous day.